grab on and really savor every moment. Even if those moments are locking yourself up in a room and writing, those are your moments. So whatever it does that really makes you feel good, just do that more.
You are now listening to the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, the podcast for those who want to advance into the business of immortality through authorship, the Going North podcast. I'm your host, certified self-leadership trainer and author of the best-selling book, Stay the Course, Daily Performer's 7 Secret Keys to Sustainable Success, Dom Brightman. And you're going to be getting some goodies today from the guest that's up next. And today on the Going North podcast, we're bringing some super special, awesome humans from around the globe. We got another wonderful, special, awesome human from the Creative Edge Publicity Crew. That's right, the CEP, folks. That's right, the CEP. That's right. And this special guest today, she is a published blogger, book reviewer, indie publisher, and a poet with a background in Indigenous studies and English literature. And what she loves to write the most is edgy urban fantasy with a twist of murder. And some describe her writing as intoxicating, lush, magically edgy page turners. And they feature a coven, especially her Hollystone Mysteries, of local witches who solve murders using their wits, ritual magic, and a little help from the gods. So let's give it up for the fabulous, the one, the only, WL, aka the real Wendy Hawkin. How you doing today, Wendy?
I'm doing very well tonight. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
There we go. She's doing well with extra water and happy like all the pappies. That's what I'm talking about. Right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, it is. So my goodness, as you know, with all introductions, I'm pretty sure I forgot probably 56 fun facts about you. So am I filling in any cavities I missed about the wonderful Wendy herself?
Hawkin, my name, actually means kin with the hawks because I really feel good about birds of prey and like the freedom that they symbolize. So I changed my name many, many years ago, legitimately, to Hawkin, which people spell wrong all the time because they always add an S to it. So that's a fun fact. Another fun fact, let's see, I live in an eco village on an organic farm in a small community east of Vancouver with a really beautiful yellow Labrador retriever. That's about it.
Wolf. All right. That's what I'm talking.
She keeps me busy.
There you go. That's right. Since you love to travel, of course, in the BC era, aka before COVID.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And what I find interesting about you is that you're actually a high school dropout who ended up going back to school as a result. So what led to the dropout back in the high school age of 11th grade?
That's right. That's right. So dropped out, 16, 17 years old and went to live in Toronto and got married, had kids, then went back to high school when I was 33. I'm not going to tell you how long ago that was.
Okay, 6 years ago. Fine. All right.
Yeah. That was quite a journey. So finished high school, and then started university and became a teacher. That's kind of ironic, right?
It definitely is. It's like, oh, school sucks. I'm gonna drop out. Well, I guess I'm gonna go back. Oh, you know what? I like it now. Let me teach.
Exactly. You know, it's a good thing because then you understand what it's like, why you drop out, why there are kids that don't really want to be there, don't want to be listening to what you have to say. And I ended up working a lot with at-risk kids, actually. So that became a thing for me from my experience. And then I started writing books about edgy urban fantasy that I couldn't talk about because I was a teacher. So
Didn't want to have the parents coming back at the PTA meeting. It's like, what did you give my little Johnny slash Jenny?
yeah,
Talking
no,
about witches.
don't want
We're
to do
gonna
that.
we're gonna burn your books and the witches inside of them. Burn you at
Yes.
the pit steak. We're gonna burn you at the medium rare steak.
Yep.
Oh, oh my goodness. Well, that's freaking interesting. So didn't get to share your books with the kids, but definitely help the kids out with being a wonderful teacher indeed. So what was probably the biggest lesson from that experience, being able to teach the kids and hopefully help them to realize, no, don't make the same mistakes Miss Wendy did. You'll end up doing strange stuff.
You know what? Honestly, I would tell the kids that if you're in a good situation with your parents, stay there and like use their money, stay there as long as you can, because it's tough out there when you go out on your own. You know, if you're 16 or 17, you quit school, it's hard. So if you can stay, get an education. Education really helped me. It was something
Uh,
that was really missing in my life. You know, when I got in my 30s, I was like, I want to do that. I want to see where I can go with that. So,
that's right. It took you all over the globe, if I'm not mistaken, right? Miss World Traveler, right?
well, not everywhere, not yet, but definitely the places in my books is where I go.
Ah, that's right. That's right, because you're a fellow innie, aka introvert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. But definitely got to come out the house every now and then and be like, hey, I'm gonna people. I'm going to go peopling. It'll work. It'll work today. I will keep the baseball bat in the trunk of the car. It'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm great with people. I just have I kind of have a hangover the next day. Do you experience that where you get really, really up and you're happening and then you can't come down? And then when you finally do come down, you're really down. That's what happens with me.
Oh yeah, especially when I don't get sleep for enough usual sleep after like a good week, and if it's like at a conference or something for a few days, it definitely takes its toll. It's like I gotta recharge here.
Hmm.
Come on, Bunny. I know we were past Easter, but come on, Energizer Bunny, you can do it. Lay some
Hmm.
energy
Hmm.
eggs for me.
The best the best metaphor I've heard yet for introverts is that when you get up in the morning and you have this jar full of pennies, that every time you have a social event or you see somebody, you give some money out, and by the end of the day, your bank is empty. That's kind of how I feel some days. But extroverts, it's the opposite. So every time they see somebody, they're collecting money and they're getting their bank full. So it's a really kind of an interesting way of looking at it.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, that's right, with a capital I indeed. So what's
Hmm.
interesting is that you also have a wonderful history of being a musician too, since you also write poetry.
That's true. I write poetry, and way back when I used to write some songs. Yeah. The music comes out in the prose, even, I find, because all writing has a rhythm to it.
Ah, so it helps you get into that writing rhythm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So what helps you get into that writing rhythm?
What helps me get into it? Listening out loud. So I listen, I read out loud, and I listen to the rhythm of the words. And I also really love using my text to speech woman who has an Irish accent, and she reads to me. Honestly, Moira is fantastic because especially when you're writing books about Ireland and you have this lovely Irish woman reading back to you, and she can do all the right sounds, like Ballymenach. And she does that. So that helps. And when I listen to it and then I start writing from there, I'm already in that space. That helps.
Definitely makes sense indeed. Because at first instant thought was like, why Irish? And then it's like, oh, wait a second. That's the land. It's usually most of your books are set in, usually the place that you go, and that being one of the main places. So it makes total sense to get you in that right frame of mind to write.
I love Ireland, actually. It's beautiful. Beautiful place. I would live there if I could pull it off.
I'm sure the land of BC is cool too.
It is. It's very pretty here. We have mountains, and I'm out in the valley, and it's green and rivers. It's very nice. But it's actually quite a bit like Ireland, come to think of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Some of that good nature, except the winters are probably hell though.
Not as bad as in the East.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't get 40 degrees below Celsius.
No. So I come from Toronto, so I know the climate in the East quite well. And no, it's much milder here because we've got the coast. So in terms of Celsius, no, it hasn't hardly even been below zero here.
Good. So that means no fur coat required. That's good. That's real good.
Well. Okay, when I first came here from Toronto several years ago, I said, "What is with these people? Why are they wearing parkas?" I was walking around in a little jacket all winter, little rain jacket, because it rains a lot. And guess what? I bought last year a parka because you acclimatize.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yeah, because I'm like, okay, weather's definitely gonna change after a while. Because it's like, can't be as good as one would think. I'm pretty sure it changes with all the global warming. Heck, even in some parts of the world, like Maryland, it feels like you get all 4 seasons in 1 hour if you stay outside long enough. Right. It's like you got to wear. That's right. It's like you got to wear a fur coat with a pair of Speedos or a bikini underwards. So that way you be fully prepared for all seasons.
Yes.
That's right. There's a nice visual for you.
On gumboots.
There you go. That's right. That's right. Some boots or maybe some bare feet or some bear slippers. Oh my goodness. So my goodness. So with all the wonderful travels, writing poetry, writing songs, you came across and did some more self-discovery into basically Druidism. So what led to that? Is it some Irish roots that you have in your family and the love for Ireland that led to it? What led to that?
I think it's just something that's within me, and it's really a love of nature and the country. I grew up in the country, and I've just always been a tree hugger and love being outside. Oh yeah. So Druidry that's what it's about. And it really is. There's a lot of meditation and visualization, a lot of spiritual parts to it, but it's all kind of based around nature. And I love that. That feeds me in many, many ways.
So does it feed you bacon?
No.
Okay, good.
No. more like apples. Apples are the magical fruit.
Especially if they're gold.
Mm-hmm.
I hear they keep the doctors at bay, far,
Mm-hmm.
far away. That's right, in a faraway land known as Albuquerque.
Cut them in half sideways, they show you a pentacle.
Ah, does that lead you to the land of dreaming about octopuses all day then afterwards?
No.
Okay, good.
No octopuses.
Oh, okay, good. Yep, don't want them tentacles to grab you. They tend to stick. But what seems to stick is your love of writing novels. So, my goodness, what made you get the confidence to take the leap and actually start writing full blown novels and make a whole series?
You know what? I've been writing novels for a long time. I just left them in brown paper boxes. I started writing novels because I wanted to see if I could, and I did, and I enjoyed it. And then when I was teaching high school full time and going a little bit mad because it's kind of a stressful job. So kudos to all the teachers out there that are working so hard, especially at this point with COVID and everything going on and all the changes that have happened over the last while. What I would do, because I'm an introvert and I don't really have a social life, is I would come home on evenings and weekends and holidays and I would write books. And so I created this whole cast of characters that were my fictitious friends. Started with one and then it ended in a cliffhanger and just kind of had to keep going. So now I'm up to number 5.
So number 5 published, huh?
Nope, number 5 is starting to talk to me. 4 published.
Okay. Then I'm guessing 57 unpublished.
A few.
uh, okay, so 90 unpublished. I got you.
But these are published, so that's nice. I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Uh,
And then when I retired from teaching, then I went at it a little bit harder and said, okay, I'm actually going to do this. And became an indie author and learned how to do all of that stuff that you have to do as an indie author.
oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, a lot of work.
A lot of work. It's complex. It really is.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, do you prefer the indie author life? Do you prefer the high school teaching life?
Definitely the life I have now. Definitely. And you know what? It has nothing to do with the kids. I really love the kids. The hardest thing about teaching was every day going, oh, what am I doing today? And having to have all of that like under control. You'd have to have your whole year planned out and what you're going to do and go in there for each block or class that you had and have 30 kids that are, okay, teach me English, and you have to be on all day. That's really hard for an introvert, especially when you're in a school with about 1,200 kids.
There you go. That's right, getting zapped every day.
Yeah. So it's much nicer to stay here locked up in my house. I'm actually really happy about that, and go for little walks with the dog and then come back and be in my space again. Be able to read and write and do some computer work and listen to music. Yeah.
There you go. There you go, indeed. Because, yeah, you're definitely right about the teaching part definitely being difficult, introvert or not, because there's an entertainment aspect to it, too, and trying to keep the
Mhm.
students' attention, the kids' attention, because, like, they're at that point in their lives. Well, then again, even though high school, they're maybe in the semi-depressing times because they're going through the growing pains and puberty and all that. magical stuff that sometimes leads down the dark paths. And it's like, oh, they should be outside enjoying life. They got all this energy. But it's like, oh, I'm trapped inside trying to learn stuff to go to college or whatever. It's like, hey, as a teacher, it's like you got to be able to be on all the time and be able to really
Mhm.
get through lesson plans and plan out the lessons and be able to execute them and yet make sure that the kids at least are learning what they're supposed to be learning.
Mhm. And answer that question, why are we learning this? Which is a very perceptive question because there are things that, I'd be like, I don't know, we just have to. So, but I taught English. So that was a little better because at least I loved English. So I could teach things that I was really enjoying. And I had enough of a choice of what I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to teach. Like Macbeth.
Ah, the classic spear shaking. That's right.
which I liked so much. I actually put all through my first novel. There you go.
There we go. That's right. One of the codes in the book that's hidden by the author. Only a few will understand.
Yes. Yes.
That's right. If you understand all the quirks you want to prize. Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, speaking of learning what we're supposed to learn and loving of Macbeth, what's probably been the biggest lesson you learned since becoming an indie author?
Oh boy.
If you want to give three, you can give three.
The biggest lesson I learned, let me think. How it's really hard to do it all yourself. That is one. And I think actually the marketing is a huge issue. But that pertains from what I hear to both indie authors and traditional authors that these days publishers want you to be on top of everything for marketing. So I really, when I went into this, didn't know quite how involved it was. And when I first started my books, the first one I took to somebody to have it formatted. And then when it came back, I thought, oh, I can do that. I've been desktop publishing for years and years. So I learned how to format on Word, which is a bit of a trick in itself because Word is Word. I'm grateful to Word. I'm grateful to Word, but Word can be really interesting to use when you're formatting a print book. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I did learn how to do it though. And now after my fourth book, I'm actually pretty good at it and thinking I could format other people's books. That's kind of not that I want to particularly, but I could. So how much there is involved in it is a big piece of it. What else? I really enjoy parts of it, like being able to work with cover designers. That's lots of fun. And that's different, I believe, than being with a traditional publisher where they tell you what your cover is going to look like and send it to you. In a lot of cases, they do that anyway. I don't know if they all do that, but I really like being able to decide what kind of pretty pictures are going to go on my books and what the blurb's going to say on the back cover and all of that stuff. I like doing all that setup. But how much work it is, my goodness, it is a lot of work. Okay, wait, I'm thinking now. So one of the big lessons is get an editor if you can afford it, because having an editor, not a line editor specifically, but a developmental editor to look at what your story's doing and how your story works and the pacing and tightening it up and all those kinds of things. And then you need to send it out to several people who you don't know, who aren't your friends and family, and get them to read it and tell you the truth. And then accept the truth and listen to them. Because it's just like when I was marking English papers and the kids would say, what's wrong with it? And I would give them feedback, and then they would argue with me and say, but I did it like this because of that and this and that and the other thing. And you don't want to be really defensive. So that you have to really listen and say, okay, there's something here for me to hear. And it's my work. It's not me. It's not the essence of me. So those things. And then before you do anything else, do a really, really, well, several, like about 10 or 20 line edits with Moira, the Irish girl, reading to you while you're doing it. So you can hear it and see it at the same time. And find all those missing words and wrong words and fix them before it goes out. Big process.
Oh yeah, definitely could say that again. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, and I commend you for formatting all 4 of your books so far. You're doing the 5th one yourself too, ain't you?
I will.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you have the patience of Buddha. I did that for my first book, Microsoft Word. I almost pulled my actual hair out of my head. I was so pissed.
I
Every
know.
time 26, it goes to 36. It's supposed to be 27. Go to page 39, it's 59. I'm like, what the hell?
I know. I
Like,
know. I know. I have had those moments, and then go into the Microsoft Word forums and ask a question, and then reading a zillion threads of everybody's having the same terrible experience. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
You know what my favorite part is? I will tell you this. Doing the headers and footers. I like to do, fancy headers and footers. So maybe your page numbers on one side and your names on the other side. And you might want to have one in that corner and one in the other corner instead of centered because it looks cooler. That one is definitely a pull your hair out. But it can be done. Because I've done it 4 times. Recently too.
It looks like you still have all your hair, so kudos
Well,
to you.
not all of it, but some of it. Because when I decided to redo my covers and I came out with this whole new tattoo editions. Did you see the tattoo editions?
I don't think I did.
No?
No, let's see.
So
Was it on your site page?
so these drawings on the front, like the white covers with the black drawings, these are all designer tattoos from
Oh,
people in the book. So every one of them is worn by a character in the book. Yeah. So when I redid all the covers last year with a cover designer that I met while I was studying mediumship, that's another little thing. I redid the formatting as well to make them all the same. So last year was a lot of computer time.
so how do you keep your eyes healthy with all that computer stuff?
You know what? I don't. My eyes get very sore. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the big drawback of 2020. It's like, oh yeah, you got more time for the computer gaming or whatever. Woo! And then it's like, oh, let me get some of these blue light shades if I can do it to protect
Mm-hmm.
my eyes. Like,
Mm.
it's like, Zoom meeting. Oh, they don't have to see my face in this work meeting. All right, cool. Camera's off. All right, good.
Mm-hmm,
So I'm gonna be in bed while they're talking.
mm-hmm.
That's right. They're not gonna stop me. I could be my feet the whole time. I keep the camera off. They don't have to talk at all. Like, and then my boys, they can see the picture. They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Yeah, well, the other thing about I can't work at night on the computer because then I stay up all night. Like it's just not good. That screen time at night is not good. I have to start getting ready to go to bed at about 7 o'clock at night to even get close to having some sleep because I'm kind of an insomniac. So
Ah, but you are a
Mhm.
morning person though, right?
I'm great in the morning, but often, I'm awake for most of the night and then I'm up in the morning anyway. And I don't get a lot of sleep.
Oh,
I have
is
a dog, so I have to get up at 6:30 because I feed her when I get up. So if I don't wake up at, 6:30 in the morning, there's like a big face on top of my face licking me going, "Hey, hey, I really think it's time." There's a little bit of gray coming through the window shade here. I think we have to get up. So,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Before he thinks you're too tasty, and then you
Yep.
wake up, and then it's like, oh crap, my nose, no, give it back.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't sleep a lot.
Oh, do you think it's the tattoos? Let me stop. That'll be bad.
No, I don't actually have the tattoos. Those are all character tattoos.
Ah, hooray indeed, hooray indeed. So my goodness, yes indeed. That's the one thing about indie authorship is basically the work involves like, well, either way in life, you're gonna have to work regardless. If you don't work, you don't eat. But like you see all these folks with books nowadays, it's like, oh, it must be easy. And you get a little bit into it, it's like, oh crap, it's not. And then you post, it's like, yay, it's published, my work is done. Come to me, Oprah interview. Yay, 1 million followers on all my social media. Oh crap, I haven't seen revenue in like 5 months from this book. All right. Um, hey,
Mhm,
could you buy a
mhm.
book? Oh, I bought it last year. Oh crap, you did. You want to buy it again?
This is it. This is the sad truth about it. So why do we do it?
Ah, that's right. The power of knowing your why.
Mm,
So, what is Wendy's why for all the writing that she does?
I have to. It's a bit of an obsession now. It does feed me energetically, so that's a good thing. And I have so much fun when I'm writing, and when I'm reading what I wrote. Those are good reasons. It makes me happy, gives me
Uh,
energy.
that's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
So, besides embracing higher levels of creativity, what have you gained through the isolation of the year that shall not be named?
Hmm. I'm apparently, according to some people who know me, much more relaxed. But I think that has to do with having moved to the country, possibly. Possibly having moved to the country and locking myself up in a house and just going for walks outside.
So were you a wild one back in the day? Because it's kind of often to say you're kind of relaxed.
Yes, I've had my moments. Yes.
There you go. Drink a whole Jim Beam and still stand still. All right.
Mm. Well, now the characters just do all that for me. So it's kind of fun. So writing these kind of books is like being a bit of a voyeur, I suppose. They have all the fun, and I kind of just sit on the sidelines and write down what I see going on, and it works.
There we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about indeed. So since this isn't your first rodeo, is there a question that you wish you be asked more often when you're being interviewed?
Hmm. No, not really. I've had a lot of different questions, and I've been thinking a lot about my answers because I've been doing a lot of blogs and things like that. People talk about my research quite a bit.
Oh, okay. So someone's probably got 2,000 encyclopedias in their home.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. You don't need encyclopedias anymore.
Okay. That's good. You
Yeah.
said research. I'm like, all right, let me go ultra archaic, see what happens.
Actually, the last research I did was kind of ultra archaic because I kind of camped out for about a week in the museum in Dublin in the Kingship and Sacrifice exhibit with the body of the Bog Man, who is a 2,000-year-old torso that was pulled out of the bog and is on display. It's just his arms, his fists, no head, no body, but his whole stomach, his organs are all intact. So they actually tested, they knew what he had for breakfast, grains and buttermilk that day. And then he was ritually murdered and cast in the bog. That's what my last book's about. So I went and sat in the museum with him for a long time, just trying to connect. Yeah. And did a whole, he's from the Iron Age in Ireland, and that's where I went and did research. Actually, there were encyclopedias involved because I went to a small downtown library in Dublin and did a lot of research there in the old musty book section. Yeah. So that was fun.
So were you like trying to absorb his essence? Like how?
Yes. Yes, I was. And I kept asking him, what is your name? Because I really wanted to know who he was, because I tell his story in my book. So they time travel back, my characters time travel back to 200 BC. And so I tell his story about what happened to him. That's why it's called To Kill a King. It's how do you kill a king?
Oh, that sounded gruesome. Probably hurt like heck, I imagine. Oh my goodness.
Well, I do describe it. Yeah. So I don't think that's a spoiler. He is a bog man and he is gone. So we know that he was killed. And he's real. So I took a real artifact and brought him to life. That was what I did in the last one. He's a very cool guy.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm cooler than 3 cucumbers.
Cool as in, yeah, he's a really cool guy. He was 6'6" and a like a big man. Like they can tell from his hands and his shoulders that he was quite statuesque kind of guy. And then I gave him this like hair that stands straight up about 9 inches that is glued on with resin, pine resin, and plant oils, which they used 200 BC. They used hair gel, imported.
Ah, that's what I'm talking about indeed. Fun facts ahoy. That's right. Some good old hair gel. That's right. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just juices and bevies, it's also pine oil from trees.
Mm-hmm. Pine resin from France. Pretty
Ooh.
fancy. Pretty fancy. So yeah, so if you imagine this guy coming at you with an iron sword on top of a horse, full blast, he's kind of intimidating in that way, which is, I suppose, why my archaeologist character falls in love with him.
Eh,
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine
Mm-hmm.
because 6'6" is tall enough as it is. I mean, I'm 6 foot, but that's still it's like another six
Mm-hmm.
inches. It's like, okay. Yep, you're a tall guy. All righty. Yep, got to go for the knees and the nuts on this one.
I know, I was really surprised at that, like were people that tall in 200 BC? Apparently they were. Although there's another guy in the museum whose name is Cloney Cavan Man, who was also ritually murdered about the same time. And he has this shock of red hair that's 2,000 years old. It's still, you can still see it. His hair, it's amazing. He was about 5'5". So quite a difference in these two guys. But they were both killed the same way and buried in the bog.
Okay. Definitely
Mhm.
interesting indeed. Some next level research indeed. So no one folks calling that some interesting research. That's definitely some interesting research indeed, and way to inspire some writing goodness. So we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive, and that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but this time in the current year of 2021, with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Okay, I am not for that. Let me think. Let me think. I think that life goes by pretty quickly and you should grab on and really savor every moment. Even if those moments are locking yourself up in a room and writing, those are your moments. So, whatever it does that really makes you feel good, just do that more.
Yep. So if it's ritualistic killing, don't do it. If that makes you feel good, don't do that, please.
But if going and sitting in a Dublin museum with a 2,000-year-old torso makes you feel good, it's okay.
Exactly, because that's research. That's totally
Hmm.
different.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's right. Life does go by pretty darn fast. It's scary. Time be like, it's like the little Sonic the Hedgehog saying, hey, you're too slow. Gonna keep running away from you.
Hmm.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, for those who want to keep in magical contact with the wonderful Wendy Hawkin, with all of her amassed knowledge and experience and all of her fabulous books and the ones that are to come, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Come to my website, which is bluehavenpress.com. Everything is there.
Well, there you have it, folks. Head over to bluehavenpress.com. Check out all of Wendy's books. That's right, all four of them, and the fifth one to come. Add it to your collection. That's right, because she's been doing some awesome research indeed. Definitely a product of the magical product and taking that wonderful novels to the world. So go ahead, pick it up, share it with your friends, share it with your cat, share it with your fellow penguins, whether they're visible or invisible, folks. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, any parting words before we close up shop, Wendy?
You just got me really interested in penguins now. I'm just wondering what that's about. I'm trying to psychoanalyze you now. Hmm. No, thank you very much.
How's it going, my friend? I'm glad you made it to the end. That shows that you really enjoyed what you heard and you are an uncommon finisher. Thanks for giving this show a listen. If you really want to help out the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone that you care about or someone that needs to hear this message because we want to spread this podcast around like butter on bread if that's your type of thing. And if it's not your type of thing, still spread it around anyway because good stuff needs to be shared with good people like yourself.